Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I thought I'd go over what's the future for Dead by Daylight and what does it entail. Going from all things from the next upcoming chapter being chapter 30 all the way till next March, I believe, with chapter 31. But yes, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like, ring that bell, subscribe, share around, and let's get into it. So, after the astounding success from the new Alien chapter in Dead by Daylight, it has definitely gotten some attention. Because as you can see from many different people, it has gotten a very, very good reception through the entire fan base, and is overall looking to be a very great chapter in Dead by Daylight's history. So that also leaves us with the question, what's next for Dead by Daylight? We got the great Xenomorph chapter with Xenomorph and the great Ellen Ripley, and even it came with a great map with so many hidden secrets and mechanics, and even some in-game mechanics that can actually affect the outcome of a match, which is a first for a Dead by Daylight match. But what's next? Well, that's what we are here to talk about today, folks. What is next for Dead by Daylight, including the next 2.5 chapters, being chapter 30, which is a killer-only paragraph, chapter 30.5, which is a survivor-only paragraph, chapter 31, which is an original chapter, and then even at the end, we have a little surprise featuring something regarding the Xenomorph. So yes, let's get into it. So, starting off with chapter 30 here, we have the most likely killers for chapter 30. Number one, and I think everyone is thinking this, is Predator. We just got Alien, so it would make a whole bunch of sense to have Predator as the next upcoming character for Dead by Daylight. Predator is an iconic character, and it even gives off the vibes of a slasher film. So not too unlike of the horror kind of feel. And really, let's be honest, okay? If Skull Merchant can make it into this game, Predator can. Okay? And yes, Skull Merchant may have looked like a rip-off Predator, but I'm fairly certain that he's not. His whole character, gist is that he's an asymmetrical hunter. In the first movie, he hunted, I believe it was, 5 colonial marines, and slaughtered them all except for Dutch Schaefer, which unfortunately I don't think would make it as a survivor, but perhaps could make it in some way, as we will discuss later in the video. At number 2, for most likely for chapter 30, is Pennywise. Given the recent, not controversy, the recent news via Schmuckles, who you can check out up here, he had discussed a video talking about how Pennywise does have a actually significant chance at being the next chapter in Dead by Daylight. It made a lot of sense for him to either be chapter 29, which was Alien, or chapter 30, given the rights going back to Stephen King. And that would allow Warner Bros., just before the rights had gotten to Stephen King, to make a Dead by Daylight chapter with it and Pennywise. It wouldn't come with a map or any survivors, which is kind of unfortunate, but you remember it for the killer, it, / Pennywise, rather than the survivors themselves. So, not too big of a loss there. But if chapter 30 is not Pennywise, then we will most likely not see Pennywise for a while until Stephen King decides to collaborate with Dead by Daylight and Behavior. So yeah, Pennywise for number 2. At number 3, we have Five Nights at Freddy's. It's Springtrap. Their whole fandom's going crazy over him. And overall, I think he would make an interesting killer, but he is definitely not the most likely anymore. It would somewhat correspond with the Five Nights at Freddy's movie coming out, and I believe is October. So it would help promote that movie. But unlike Predator and Pennywise, he doesn't have that much more going for him other than just a movie's coming out, which we have already seen in multiple cases with Candyman, for example, where a new Candyman film came and they didn't come. So just have to wait and see. Honestly, I don't think Five Nights at Freddy's will make it into DBD for a while, if not ever. So, and I don't think Chapter 30 is going to be Five Nights at Freddy's chance for Dead by Daylight. So yeah, Springtrap, more specifically Springtrap, because it's not just Five Nights at Freddy's in general, but Springtrap for number 3. And at number 4, we have my new most wanted dream license after Alien, which we had gotten just a couple days ago, is Slenderman. Not really much going for him, like Springtrap really, but he is one of, if not the most, like, needed characters for just a paragraph, because there is no really a survivor that would go with it, unless you're basing it off that terrible movie, but yeah, let's just not. But yeah, there's not really any survivor that would come with him, so he would make a ton of sense being a killer-only paragraph. That is why he is in the top 5 here. I think he would play super well, because actually, next week I will be having a Dead by Daylight Slenderman concept come out, so make sure to keep your eyes out for that. And Rare Earth Lynx's concept as well was an incredible concept for Slenderman, and I would love to see him implemented in a similar way to either my design or Rare Earth Lynx's concept. And overall, I think he'd just be such a fun and unique killer to play, and would be well beloved by the entire community, I feel. So yeah, Slenderman for number 4. Then finally, we have Candyman at number 5. Again, similar to Slenderman, he is one of the most likely characters to only get a paragraph and not a full chapter, as slight spoilers for Candyman. At the end of the movie, the woman who's the survivor, in quotes, actually turns into the next Candyman. So having her as a survivor would not make a whole bunch of sense, especially if we could get her as a legendary skin for Candyman. And then in the newest reboot of Candyman, the survivor again turns into Candyman afterwards, which we could also get as another skin. So it wouldn't really make sense for him to come with a survivor, nor a map, because there aren't many prominent locations in the franchise. So while he is not number 4, 3, 2, or 1, he does still have a chance, because he is one of the main characters that would be featured in a paragraph only chapter. So yes, Candyman for number 5. Now, what about chapter 30.5? As you can see here, it has been proven that it's going to be a survivor paragraph 2 months after chapter 30, which I believe will most likely be Predator. For chapter 30.5, I think there are really 2 options. Either an original survivor to join the survivor cast already, or the more likely option, maybe not more likely, probably on par, is a licensed survivor / survivors. Most prominent licenses that come to mind: The Walking Dead, Scream, Sidney Prescott, or what I think could also be incredibly likely is another actor / famous person as a chapter. Because think about it, we only got one. We got Nicolas Cage, and it would make a ton of sense to have a second one to kind of establish that as a thing now in Dead by Daylight. And the 2 I think are most likely would be, 1, Neve Campbell herself, rather than getting Sydney, which would not tarnish the relationship they've got with Fun World for Ghostface, and would allow us to kind of have Sidney Prescott in the game. So that could be one survivor. Or actually, the second survivor, which I think is actually pretty likely, given that Predator is most likely chapter 30, could be an Arnold chapter. Okay, I know. He's not the most likely, I will admit that. But I think, given the fact that there is going to be no survivor with the Predator chapter, I could 100% see them bringing Arnold as a survivor for the next paragraph, and then including skins like Conan the Barbarian, Dutch Schaefer from Predator, Terminator even inspired skins, or maybe even a skin from his most recent acting show, Fubar, which I think would be an incredible skin. All of these would be incredible skins, and I actually think that this would be a nice workaround for getting Arnold in the game while not taking up a survivor slot Dutch Schaefer, which would hardly have any skins or anything like that. That would also allow for the perks to be more unique, in my opinion. And obviously the Terminator inspired skin would not be Terminator himself, which would still allow for Terminator to come in the game in the future with Arnold's likeness. And if we were to get Arnold in the game, I believe that would even boost the chances of a Terminator chapter happening in the future. Then after that, as we can see on the roadmap here, for chapter 31, it's going to be an original chapter. And these would be my personal picks. I would choose between a spider killer, werewolf, spider chapter, werewolf chapter, vampire being either Vlad the Impaler that we saw in the Tome cutscene about a year and a half, 2 years ago, or just an original vampire altogether, which could have a Dracula skin or Vlad the Impaler skin. And then fourth for my pick would be a Scarecrow killer, which I think would be an awesome character and just kind of an awesome killer to have overall. So yeah, these would be my picks for chapter 31, which is an original chapter. And last but not least, a little surprise regarding the Xenomorph at the end are the possible skins that could happen. As you can see here, it has recently been leaked that a Queen Xenomorph skin, which most likely is coming as a legendary skin from the Xenomorph, which I think is incredibly fitting. But what else could we see? Because it's also rumored / leaked that we are going to get at least one more skin for the Xenomorph when it releases, and possibly a second. So, what could those be? Here are my picks. First up, we got the Warrior Xenomorph, which I think is going to be the most likely option for the next very rare skin coming when the Xenomorph releases. Then we have a Praetorian, which are guards for the Queen, which I could also definitely see, as it is different from the Queen itself, as you can see here. It is different enough to warrant a very rare skin. Then Queen here, which is most likely getting a skin for Dead by Daylight, so that is awesome. Then we have the Red Xenomorph, which are featured in the comics that I think would be an awesome addition to the game. We have the Runner Xenomorph, which I don't think would be the Runner exactly, but a Runner-inspired skin, where it would lack the dorsal plates, but would still be able to walk bipedally, of course. Then we have the Alpha Xenomorph, which would be a possible skin. This was a hybrid, I believe, in the comics, and I think it would be an awesome head design for the Xenomorph. Next up, we have an Albino Xenomorph, which could take the form of a drone, which is the base skin of the Xenomorph, or a warrior. Either one could work, in my opinion. We have an Irradiated Xenomorph, which was also featured in the comics. We have a K-Series Xenomorph, which would allow for a diverse amount of designs. This, if we were to get this and a couple other ones, that would allow us to have a red Xenomorph, a blue Xenomorph, and a K-Series, which is a green Xenomorph, all as different variants and skins, which I think would definitely spice up the game. Then we have all the aliens from Aliens Fireteam Elite. I apologize, I do not remember what each of them are, but these two, similar to the Runner Xenomorph, could take this inspired design and allow it to walk bipedally. And as you can see here, this is a Fireteam Praetorian. That's the only one I really know. And then there's this one, which would take the base model. And then there's a Crusher Xenomorph, which I think could also fit very well as a skin. We also have a Berserker Alien, which I think would be a unique skin and would be kind of an awesome skin. I actually would probably run it because it's such a cool looking variant of the Xenomorph, while not diverging too much from the base design of the Xenomorph. Then we have a Matriarch Xenomorph. So it's kind of like an albino Praetorian / Queen Xenomorph. Just kind of a combination of an albino and a queen, which wouldn't be the most interesting skin, but it would be kind of cool. Last but not least, we have the King Xenomorph, which could definitely make it as a skin. I think it would be awesome, featuring that awesome huge head crest, utilizing all those unique spines on his back, and then the humongous tail as well, would all be great parts of the skin. And then legendary skins for the alien, I could see a Pred alien skin coming for the Xenomorph, if Predator Chapter was to release in the future, for perhaps Chapter 30. And Deacon, this is an interesting one. A Deacon does not have a tail, so I'm not sure how it would be able to work, unless if they were to modify it, which could definitely happen. But if they weren't to modify it, I don't think a Deacon could get in. But if modified, I definitely could see it making it in. Then we have a Xenomorph. Oh, by the way, all legendary skins in this concept would have unique Moris, because, like, as you can see here, it doesn't really have the double mouth. Same with the Deacon, at least in the same way. So it would have a unique Mori, so it doesn't look all weird with the Xenomorph's second mouth. Next up, we'd have the Protomorph, which is a very similar creature, but it's a less biomechanical than the Xenomorph itself, which is the drone in Dead by Daylight, and would be an interesting skin. Perhaps it's a very rare since it's too close to the actual drone, but it is a different species, so that could warrant it for being a legendary skin. And last but not least, we have the White Xenomorph. It's a hybrid between a Predator, Xenomorph, and human, which I think would make for an interesting skin for Dead by Daylight, and would be definitely an awesome skin that I would 100% run. And that will be it for my take on what is next for Dead by Daylight. Please let me know down below what you guys would like to see for the future of Dead by Daylight. Honestly, if in my opinion, here is what I would want out of what I have pitched for the next 3 chapters. I would like to see Predator as the next killer, Arnold as a licensed, quote, survivor based on, well, Arnold himself, and then probably for an original chapter, I would probably choose either the werewolf or the spider. But yeah, those are my picks for what is next for Dead by Daylight. If you'd enjoyed the video, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, as we have already gotten so far, and thank you all for your support. But as you can see here, almost only 1% of you are subscribed, so please consider subscribing. But either way, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.